Hey guys, welcome to a very special weekly shred. We made it to weekly shred number 10. I don't know about you guys, but when we first started this, I wasn't sure how it was going to go, how far we were going to make it, or how successful it would be. And over the time, obviously if you've been with us from the beginning, you've seen we've come quite a ways. So without further ado, I present to you weekly shred number 10, Phrygian Dominant, the chords, the associated sweeps, and all the inversions thereof. We'll start with triads. Triads, as you may have guessed by the name, are three notes. What you might not have guessed, however, is that they are the first, third, and fifth note of any given scale position. And because of that, there are four types of triads: major, minor, augmented, and diminished. We're working with the Phrygian Dominant Scale today, within which exists all four types of triads. Let's start with our first triad, which I'll build from the first position that I demonstrated in the last weekly shred. In the key of E, these are the first 7 notes. That being said, the first, third, and fifth notes are those notes. Those 3 notes are our first triad. And since the second of those 3 notes is 2 whole steps above the root note, that makes it a major triad. If you ring out those 3 notes together, that will be our root chord, as it's built from the root position, otherwise known as the 1 chord. Now that we've got our first triad, let's take a look at its first inversion. That just means we take the low note and replace it with the same note, but 1 octave higher. This in turn gives us a new bass note to our new chord. That will convey a different but similar and related feeling, and also lend well to different leads on top and different chords to transition to more smoothly. Again, we can take our new bass note and raise it an octave to reveal our second inversion, which you can also play right here, which again lends to different options for leads and chords to transition to more smoothly. Now you might think that you can raise this new bass note another octave to reveal a third, a fourth, a fifth, etc. inversion of the chord. However, what you would find is that on your third inversion, you actually just create the root chord 1 octave higher. Keep in mind, this will only be true of triads. Once you start adding extra notes to chords, you'll increase the number of potential inversions by the same factor. Now that we've got an understanding of what a triad is and what its inversions are, let's take a look at our root chord and its inversions on an 8-string guitar in drop tuning. This is going to be a chuggable version of our 1 chord. Open, open, 4. You can also just do the standard cowboy chord, the open cowboy chord. But I like our chuggable version better. Now we can move on to our first inversion of our chuggable chord, and it's going to start with the second note of the arpeggio. It's the 4th note, open, and open. Now we can move on to our second inversion of this chord, which is going to start with the 3rd note of the arpeggio, and it's going to be 7, 5, 4. And if we want, we can go to the root chord an octave up, which is going to be 12, 9, 7. Now the cool thing about all those chords that I just showed you is they're all the same chord, just different inversions of itself. They all contain the same notes or scale degrees. The only difference between them is which octaves each note takes place in. Now we understand how to build triads and chords. The next step is to build sweep shapes. Alright, let's build our first sweep shape. In order to have consistent sounding sweeping, you want to have consistent sweep picking technique. So what we'll start with is a downstroke on the lowest note of the lowest string. And what you want to do is upstroke or hammer on to the next note in the arpeggio. After that's complete, what you want to focus on is instantly smashing your pick down with pressure onto the next string without picking it. So, and now my pick is resting on the next string. And at my discretion, I will release that string. And once I've released that string, my pick goes directly to the next string with pressure, and at my discretion, I again will release that string. So those were 2 open notes, and now we're going to a 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret, open, open, and once we've reached the highest string with all downstrokes, all consistently slamming that pick into the next string and releasing it at your discretion, you'll want to upstroke the next note of the arpeggio on that string. Once you've upstroked it, you'll want to pull off onto the previous note and begin upstroking and slamming that pick into the next string up with pressure onto the next string, releasing it at your discretion. So it would be an open, 1, 2, 2, open, open, 4. And that would complete your sweep shape. However, when sweep picking, you want to focus on not letting any notes ring out together. You only want them 1 note at a time. So, done correctly, it would sound like this. Now, typically, any sweep shapes you play shouldn't contain any open notes. However, this root shape, it's really important as it's the root shape, and it did contain a whole bunch of open notes. So I went ahead and dug in and just learned it on your guys' behalf. I don't expect you guys to learn this one, but feel free to. Alright, now that we're comfortable building triads, chords, and sweep shapes, I'll demonstrate some of the possible 1 through 7 chords and their inversions. Now that we've seen examples of all the numbered chords and their inversions, let's move on to the associated sweeps and their inversions. 28 chords and 28 sweeps later, and here we are at the end of weekly shred number 10. Make sure to check back next week where I teach you some techniques to use within the frameworks that we've learned in this weekly shred in order to write modern tech metal. Alright, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in future weekly shreds.